When a massive core company like Tata Motors posts a shocking loss, people start asking questions. And with them, the parent company of Jaguar Land Rover, the story is way more complicated than it looks. So, is the company in a freefall, or is this all part of some brilliant long-term strategy? Let's get into it. Okay, let's start with the number that got everyone talking. 485 million pounds. That's how much Jaguar Land Rover, an absolute icon of British luxury, lost in just 3 months. So the big question is, how on earth does a brand like that lose nearly £500 million in a single quarter? A loss that big doesn't just happen out of nowhere. So let's unpack what really went down. All right, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll dig into the immediate crisis that hit Jaguar Land Rover. Then we're going to pull back and look at the bigger picture, the incredible and very different story happening with the parent company, Tata Motors, back in India. And finally, we'll piece it all together. Okay, let's dive right into the financials that set off all the alarm bells. This was, to put it mildly, a quarter JLR really wants to forget. Now, what's just staggering here is the reversal. I mean, look at this. Just 1 year ago, JLR was doing great, a profit of almost £400 million. Fast forward 1 year, revenue is down by a quarter, and that healthy profit has completely flipped into a massive loss. We're talking at nearly £900 million swing in the wrong direction. That is huge. And the pain was felt pretty much everywhere. Wholesale numbers, that's cars shipped to dealers, plummeted. Retail sales, what you and I actually buy, weren't much better. And in their key markets like the UK and China, sales just fell off a cliff. The bottom line, their profitability was just gone. So what gives? Did people just suddenly stop wanting luxury SUVs? Well, not quite. The real trigger was one single, you could say catastrophic event. Right, on September 2nd, a massive cyber incident hit them, and their only option was to shut down everything, all their global systems. For a company that relies on everything running perfectly in sync, this is literally the worst case scenario. Production just stopped. It's a huge wake-up call for the whole industry, really, showing how vulnerable these massive connected operations are. And you can see just how long this dragged on. The shutdown lasted for more than a month before they could even start a phased restart. It wasn't until mid-November that things were finally back to normal. That's over 2 months of absolute chaos. So they had to act fast, and it cost them a ton of money. JLR scrambled to get £3.5 billion in extra cash just to stay afloat. They also had to help out their suppliers with a £500 million financing plan. And the direct cost of cleaning up this mess, a jaw-dropping £196 million. Okay, so as bad as that was, here's where it gets really interesting. Because this crisis didn't happen in isolation. It crashed right into JLR's huge, radical plan to completely reinvent itself for the future. Right, you have to understand, the cyber attack hit them at a really tough time. They were already dealing with other headwinds like US tariffs. But even more importantly, they were in the middle of this massive strategic shift, intentionally winding down old Jaguar models to make room for their all-electric lineup. The shutdown just poured gasoline on an already complicated fire. And that brings us to their reimagined strategy. Think of this as their roadmap for the future, their North Star. The goal is huge, become a totally carbon net zero company by 2039. And how do they get there? By going all in on electrification and completely redefining what modern luxury even means. And listen, this isn't just talk. They are putting their money where their mouth is. Jaguar is being totally reborn as an all-electric brand. They've already got over 150 prototypes out there being tested. The electric Range Rover we've all been waiting for, it's coming soon. And to make it all happen, they're dropping a colossal £18 billion in investment over 5 years. This is a massive bet on an electric future. Okay, now let's hit the pause button on the UK story and zoom way out. Because while JLR was in crisis mode, its parent company, Tata Motors, was writing a completely different script back home in India. And you really need to understand this part, because it might just be the secret weapon that fuels JLR's entire comeback. 250,000. That's the milestone Tata Motors just blew past for total EV sales in India. It's just incredible and shows how they've totally nailed the Indian market. I mean, this chart says it all, doesn't it? This isn't just market leadership, it's straight up dominance. Tata controls 2/3, 66%, of the entire EV market in India. You can't get a starker contrast to what was happening with JLR. And this thing is just picking up speed. Their Nexon EV, it's the first electric car in India to sell over 100,000 units. In August, they hit a record for monthly sales, up 44% from the year before. And their new Sierra EV, which isn't even out yet, already has over 70,000 pre-orders. I mean, this is a business that is absolutely on fire. So the question is, how does Tata protect this amazing growth? And how do they make sure they don't get hit with the same kind of disaster that crippled JLR? Well, the answer is pretty simple and pretty brilliant. They're not just building the cars, they're building the entire world around them. And this right here is the blueprint. It is ambitious. We're talking massive investments in new EVs, a plan for a million charging points across the country, and this is the really crucial part, a huge push to control their own semiconductor supply. They're not just partnering with experts, they are building their own multi-billion-dollar chip plants. They are taking control of their own destiny. Yeah, this quote from the head of Tata Electronics says it all. This isn't just about getting enough chips for their cars. This is a massive strategic play. It's about building a fortress against global supply chain shocks and, at the same time, turning India into a powerhouse for high-tech manufacturing. Basically, they're building the very thing JLR desperately needed when that cyber attack hit. All right, so let's bring it all back together. We've got the story of crisis and recovery in the UK and this incredible success story in India. So what does it all mean when you put them side by side? It really is a tale of two companies, isn't it? On one side, you have JLR fighting its way back from a major disaster while pouring billions into a risky but necessary reinvention as a luxury EV brand. And on the other side, you have Tata in India, just absolutely crushing it, grabbing market share, and building this incredible, vertically integrated machine for the future. And that brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? Right now, it looks like two separate roads, but can Tata merge them into one global superhighway? Can the incredible profits and growth from India's EV boom be the engine that funds JLR's expensive luxury reboot? If they can pull that off, well, they might just build one of the most resilient and powerful automotive giants of the next century.